A man climbed over the guardrail and jumped into the sea. However, the next moment, he soared into the air, passed through the clouds, and arrived in another world. There are two worlds here, and their gravitational forces are opposite. The upper world is prosperous and wealthy, while the lower world is dim and poor. And the only thing that can connect the upper and lower worlds is the company where the man works. This poor young man was shocked by what he saw on his first day at work. This company turned out to be the intersection of the two worlds. As soon as George found his workstation, he was called to the president's office by the secretary. George fastened his seatbelt, and then the seat slowly rose. George came in front of the manager. The other party told him that if he wanted to survive in the company, he must follow the rules. The group didn't allow lower-level employees to contact the upper world, otherwise, they would be arrested. The man agreed verbally and signed the contract. But George is not an obedient person. He came here to work just to sneak into the upper world and look for his girlfriend who disappeared unexpectedly before. Because the two worlds were not allowed to communicate with each other, one of their dates was discovered and they were chased. Just as George was about to send Annie back to her world, he was shot in the arm by the police and he let go of the rope. He could only watch helplessly as Annie fell to the ground. George thought she was dead. But a TV recruitment event 10 years later made him realize that his girlfriend was still alive. Although George lived in the lower world, he was very talented. Not long ago, he did an experiment on anti-wrinkle cream, and the effect only lasted for a few minutes. But today, he had successfully applied it to the human body and got this job because of it. The department George worked in was responsible for processing goods from the upper world through anti-gravity and distributing them to the lower world. He would always secretly hide some of the goods before each processing. After some preparation, he finally came to the office above the 0th floor and successfully met Annie, who was working. But unexpectedly, Annie suffered from amnesia due to the injury she got 10 years ago. She didn't recognize George at all. Just then, since the anti-gravity device would heat up after being used for a long time, George's shirt was about to catch fire. He rushed into the toilet in a hurry and used cold water to cool it down. While he was in the toilet, his urine flowed upwards due to the gravitational force, which triggered the alarm. So his first experience in the upper world was interrupted. The next day when he came to the company, the manager announced the list of layoffs. His friend was unfortunately selected. Before Bob left, he gave his things to George. There was actually an employee pass in it. George was overjoyed. This meant that he could freely enter and exit the upper world. So he immediately contacted Annie and had dinner with her in a restaurant. George's sincerity and humor attracted Annie again. But at this time, the anti-gravity made his shoes all smoke. After parting with Annie, George ran wildly in the street. He jumped into the sea and removed all the anti-gravity devices while in the water.